Happy Wednesday, guys. Welcome to the final and third day of the boot camp.
Really excited you guys are all joining us again, and I hope that you've gotten as much value as you can out of day one and day two. I think we covered a lot of very useful stuff that a lot of you guys who are watching this is very relevant to your journeys.
Yeah, 100%. And quite frankly, like, our goal here is just to give you guys as much value as we can throughout these 3 days to help you be confident in what business model you're going to choose, right? Which you should have done on the first day, where we went into, do you want to be a DIY agency, an agency team, go into consulting, or be a freelancer to start out, right? Just your next step, because then you can start to understand and decide how you want to position yourself moving forward as well. Some of you guys were asking, what's the path I should take based on where I'm at? And so we've answered some of those questions in the comments over the last few days. And then yesterday we went into your agency system. And some of you asked, is this still relevant if I want to be a freelancer or if I'm just doing this myself? Absolutely. You want to map out your business so that you know exactly what's happening, so that then your next step, if you're a freelancer right now and want to become an agency team, that you have all of the necessary pieces to do that successfully and with the least amount of stress possible.
And don't worry, I've turned off my social media screen time settings on my phone. You know, it's funny because we actually have, someone mentioned it yesterday in the comments, like, you know, you shouldn't be using your phone. We have, like, all of the professional equipment necessary to do this. You know, cameras, so many good microphones, like lavalier mics, shotgun mics. We have it all. And yet, at the end of the day, the new iPhone is actually, like, the easiest and most convenient way to get you the best quality. So I've turned off all those screen settings and turned on some do not disturb, so hopefully we won't have any issues today. But thanks for bearing with us yesterday and jumping over to the new videos.
Yeah, absolutely. So we should not have that issue today. But the reason we're sitting down today instead of standing up is because we're going to do a screen share with you guys to walk you through how we would determine what specific things we want to cover in a chatbot value video. Now, before you actually do what we're about to show you, you would want to determine that this business that you're going to film a video for is actually an ideal client, right? That they fit the perfect chatbot client characteristics that would determine a business can actually use a chatbot, and that maybe they are not just an opportunity that kind of came your way that you're taking just because you maybe are a little bit desperate for clients right now. So just keep that in mind, and we're actually going to use a med spa as our niche today. And the reason that I chose a med spa, and I'll explain a little bit more about what the business looks like in a second that we chose, this is not necessarily a client that we would go after, just because right now our agency is entirely focused on information product companies that sell online courses and events. But the reason I chose a med spa is because this business combines both digital and in-person products that they sell. It's also a business that you would visit at least 3 times, so 3 different appointments. And they also create a lot of content, run ads, and do all the things that we're going to kind of go through that an ideal client should. And so hopefully this example is kind of twofold, in the sense that if you're only going after storefront businesses, or if you're only going after 100% digital businesses, this example should give you some ideas for how you want to approach the chatbot value video research that you do before you jump in and film the video. And if you're joining us live, drop a hashtag live in the comments. Adam said, hashtag more valuable than gold. Awesome, I'm happy to hear that. Okay, so...
Yeah, and if you're one of our students, actually, someone posted this as a comment on one of the other lives. So if you want to see an actual example of the chatbot value video, we provide you, of course, with examples, live examples of us sending a chatbot value video out to a client. So if you're in the course, just search in the top right-hand corner, value video, and you can see an example. But to give you guys context, what we're going to go over today is the research that you would do to have all of the information, all of those tools, all of the ammunition that you need to actually go through the process of filming a chatbot value video, so that that client understands that you know exactly how you're going to help them with a chatbot to generate more revenue.
Exactly. And as I'm going through this, make sure to drop your questions in the comments, and we'll absolutely get to those like we have the last 2 days.
Yeah, I've got the comments up live here, so hopefully we won't miss anything today.
Alrighty guys, so I'm going to jump into my other screen. Kyle, make sure everything's good to go. Let me know in the comments if you guys can see my screen right now, my screen share here where it says Laserway. Now this is the company that we're going to use as an example for a company I would send a chatbot value video to. So I'm going to kind of go through, I'm not necessarily going to vet them right now because I've already vetted them as a perfect chatbot client, but I'm going to show you some of the places that you might want to be looking, in ways and points that I can make in the chatbot value video to help them understand how a chatbot can actually help. So first off, I usually start on a company's Facebook page, right, when I'm doing this research. And typically this research, which Kyle I think answered maybe on day 2 or day 1, typically this may take, 15 to 20 minutes max, right? You don't want to spend all day going through every single piece of content they have, but you do want to look in a few specific places.
And when you're first getting started, this might take a little bit longer. Like, you really got to figure out how to grease those wheels, right, and figure out how to build that muscle memory of being able to go to a business's Facebook page, their website, and really identify the things that we're going to talk about today. So if you feel as though, it might take you a little bit longer than 15, 20 minutes in that first go around, don't worry about it. But I promise you, this will become a lot more muscle memory the more businesses you're looking at and the more ways that you're trying to figure out, okay, I know exactly how I can help this business. Now I'm ready to go and film a video that explains that to them.
Exactly. And I also want to point out, everything I'm going to do right now you can do for free, so you don't need to buy any softwares or tools. Obviously, when you work with paid tools and softwares, you're going to get more precise results and numbers, but ultimately things like the exact amount of ad spends a company is spending on Facebook ads is not necessarily going to be publicly available for most businesses that you guys are probably targeting, unless it's like politicians, in which case you can see all of their numbers on Facebook. So let's start out here on their Facebook page, right, where ultimately I'm going to go from their Facebook page to a tool that we're going to use to see where they get most of their website traffic, which is ultimately also another big place that we want to look at to see what are they mainly pointing people to. And then we're going to look at their Instagram as well, because this is a big channel for this particular business. But of course you want to look at any other socials that the company might be using too. Okay, so we're going to start here on their Facebook page. And so as I scroll down, I'm looking at a few things, right? And again, I'm not going to go through and say, hey, you should look at this to vet them, because you've already done that. But we can see, okay, they have about 80,000 followers. That's great, and likes. And then let's scroll through some of their posts. The posts are going to be one of the most important things you want to look at. Ultimately, who cares how many followers they have, as long as it's a couple thousand, I'd say, because usually pages with a couple hundred maybe aren't really focused on growing their page.
Yeah, just to kind of preface that, actually, when we started out 3 years ago, we actually said when we were going through this process, okay, what's like the minimum number of likes or followers that a Facebook page needs for us to be interested? And so I literally just pulled 10,000, out of thin air and was like, okay, so we're not going to look at any business pages that don't have at least 10,000 followers or likes. Well, what we came to learn through that process was that number is kind of irrelevant. We found certain pages that have, 100,000 followers or likes on their Facebook page, but have terrible engagement and aren't putting any time or business resources into digital marketing behind Facebook. So really the number isn't as important as the actual engagement levels are.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so the first thing you want to look at on any page, again, now that we've kind of given you some info on the page likes and follows, you want to see how often they're posting and how much engagement they're getting on each one. Again, there's not a necessary amount of engagement that you want to be seeing there, right? It's not like they should have at least 10 likes on every picture and a certain amount of comments, but it's more just about like, is anyone engaging with their content and how often are they posting? Okay, so right away I can see that they're not super consistent with their content. They are posting, it looks like, a few times a week, but they're not getting a lot of engagement yet on these posts. So I can see this was posted 23 hours ago. There's no likes or comments here. There's 1 like, 1 share here, and then there's a few likes here. So it looks like and because I've done a little bit of research on them, I know they're running ads, and I'll show you where to look for that in a second. But I know that they're using this content in other places. It just looks like they're not sending traffic to these specific page posts. Okay, so that's the first thing that you want to take a look at. This doesn't necessarily make them a bad client by any means. It's just something we want to look at to see if there's an opportunity to mention in the chatbot value video that we could hook up the chatbot to their posts and capture any comments that come in.
Yeah, I think that's really important to understand, and we did preface that in the beginning of this video, but we have already identified them as a perfect chatbot client. So we know that this particular business, LaserAway, fits our unique character traits that we've established that make up a perfect chatbot client. So the information that we're looking at right now isn't necessarily like a make or break, like, oh, there's not engagement on these posts, so we shouldn't film this video. No. We've already identified them as a perfect chatbot client, so we know that's there. So now we're using all of this as ammunition to help sell them on our services.
Exactly. Cool, and if all that's making sense so far, guys, since I know we just covered quite a bit in terms of what you're looking for here, let us know in the comments if that makes sense. And the next thing I want to take a look at is their ads that they're actually running. So there's a few ways that you can actually get this information. You can go directly to the site I'm about to show you, but if you're on any given Facebook page, if you go to Page Transparency and click See More, which should be on every page, then you can scroll down here and see if a page is currently running ads. This is really important. This is one of the criteria of many, like Kyle mentioned, for a perfect chatbot client. client that they are running ads.
Yeah, I think I want to touch on that for just a second because I've been getting a lot of people reaching out to me about, what makes up a perfect chatbot client. We're not going to go ahead and give you guys all of our traits. That's in our course, obviously. If you're one of our students, just type in the search bar in the top right-hand corner of the course, perfect client traits. But one thing that I will tell you is that we don't work or approach any clients that aren't already running ads. We want to make sure that they're already putting effort into digital marketing services. More importantly, Facebook ads in general. So all the clients that we take on are either running ads in-house that perform well, or they're working with an ad agency that's running ads for them that perform well. That's really important to understand. For us as a client, I know a lot of other agencies out there, they don't really care about that, and they might want to help them and offer Facebook ads as a service, but we've never offered Facebook ads solely as a service, and so we work only with clients that are already running high-performing ads.
Exactly, yeah. And if you guys have any questions about that based on your unique situation, make sure to ask that in the comments as well. So jumping into now this ads library, some of you guys may already know about this and use this to research, which is awesome. So this is just one of many points that we're looking at, right? To determine also how we can mention this in the chatbot value video if it makes sense. So if I scroll through, there's not a whole lot of filters you can put on this, but if you just scroll through and see all these different images, different ad copy, you can tell they're running a crap ton of ads, to say the least, right? You don't know the exact number, and for most companies, you won't know exactly how much ad spend they are spending because it's not publicly available, but this is something you would get from them, say on the discovery call, where at least this fits our criteria, and this is a place where we can mention in the chatbot value video that they could use the chatbot for. Right? Because they're already getting results clearly with ads, otherwise they wouldn't run all of these different ads. And so this is one point that maybe we want to point out when we're going through and filming the video.
Yeah, and just to kind of touch on that subject, we're going to show you some tools here in just a second that won't necessarily tell you how much a certain business is spending on ads. There are some paid analytic tools that you can use that give you like an idea of how much a particular business is spending on ads, but honestly all of those tools are pretty inaccurate and at the end of the day just a guess. But some of the free tools that we're going to show you will actually tell you how much of a website or business's given traffic is coming from social media, and of that traffic that's coming from social media, how much of that is coming from Facebook. So again, those are going to be some other tools and analytics that you're going to be able to use as ammunition in your chatbot value video.
Exactly. All right, so the next thing then that we actually want to take a look at before we look at their actual website is where their traffic comes from, like Kyle said. And one of the best free tools for this is similarweb.com. So I've already looked up their website here, but if you were to type in any website here, when you go to similarweb.com, then you can find a few analytics that'll be really key. Again, like Kyle said, we won't be able to see exactly how much they're spending on Facebook ads. And we won't be able to see maybe really detailed and precise numbers that you would actually just need to ask the business. But this gives us an idea of whether Facebook is a big channel for them, therefore making Facebook Messenger bots a opportunity for them, right? Because if not, then kind of no point in reaching out to them. So if you kind of scroll through, most of this information will just be interesting for you, but not necessarily something you'll need to point out in the chatbot value video, since you only want to make it about 5 minutes so that you don't like kind of drag on about stuff that's maybe not specifically related to the chatbot project.
Yeah, and kind of just to touch on the last thing that Natasha said there, when we were first starting out, we really wanted to help everyone, and so we didn't understand like what makes up a perfect chatbot client. So in fact, one of the first couple clients that we took on, they weren't doing anything on Facebook. Like one of the clients actually didn't even have a Facebook page. And so we had to go through the process of, okay, creating the Facebook page, like literally establishing an entirely new channel of marketing for a particular business. So as a chatbot marketer, I don't think that's what you should be doing. And that's why, again, we started this with, we only contact clients and prospects that are already successfully running campaigns on Facebook. You don't want to be prospecting clients that don't use Facebook at all. Maybe they don't even have a Facebook page. Maybe they do, but they don't care about it. They've never run ads. Like those are what we call a really bad chatbot client, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done from the digital marketing aspect before you can actually begin to add real value and drive real revenue with a chatbot.
Yeah, so the only exception to that, which you were kind of leading to, so just to say it, that if you do offer, say, Facebook growth services, Facebook ads, social media management, content scheduling, those services as an agency already, or those are skills that you want to sell clients on, then maybe you can take on clients that are in that position. But just keep in mind, like Kyle said, that it's going to be a lot more work for you to actually put together this whole social digital strategy for them, as opposed to focusing on one thing that you're really good at, in this case, chatbot marketing.
Yeah, and one thing actually, because I can already hear the questions coming, right? You might be asking, well, if they're already working with a Facebook ad agency, well, why don't the Facebook ad agency just do the chatbot for them? Well, we've noticed time and time again, every single company that we work with, that Facebook ad agency that they're working with, they don't have the resources, the skills, or the experience to be able to deploy a profitable chatbot, and so they're not even offering that as one of their services.
Exactly. All right, so now let's jump into SimilarWeb here, which the most important thing we're actually going to take a look at, even though there's a lot of interesting information here, is where their traffic comes from. So it looks like about 6%, nearly 7% of their traffic comes from social, and while YouTube is beating Facebook, Facebook is still number 2. So that's really key here is I want to make sure that Facebook is in the top 2. And quite frankly, for most companies that create content and are good at it, they are actually going to have YouTube be their number 1 source of traffic, but Facebook, again, is going to be really important as the second one. If Instagram is beating Facebook, and Facebook, let's say, is at the 2% instead of this 38%, again, this might not be a great client for a Facebook Messenger bot, even though they're using Instagram a lot, and you could argue, the 2 platforms work together, especially with, different ad types coming out leading to Messenger. Nonetheless, we do want to make sure that they do have a lot of traffic coming in from Facebook, a lot of their traffic coming in.
But because we've already identified them as a perfect chatbot client, this information that we're looking at here is just going to be useful for us. It doesn't mean that because, after identifying them as a perfect chatbot client, we come into the analytics and we see that Facebook, there's not a lot of traffic coming from Facebook. That's okay because we know that they're doing everything else right. And so we know that we then have the opportunity to grow that Facebook number. So again, this information is all just ammunition that you're going to be able to use inside of that chatbot value video to explain what you're going to be able to do for them.
Exactly. All right, so after I've taken a look at this, then we're going to jump into one other social, which would be Instagram, just to get an idea again of really how often they're posting and how much engagement there is there. Even though the bot will not specifically, like the success of the bot is not correlated with their growth on Instagram, at least we can just see if there's an opportunity there, right? Because with YouTube, for example, to give you one idea, in the end screen on a video, in the video description, in the links that you can add on your YouTube profile, as well as pretty much anywhere on YouTube you can add a link on your videos, you can send people to your bot and capture them there instead of a landing page. So if a company does have a lot of YouTube traffic and the majority of it is coming from YouTube, then it might make sense to mention in your chatbot value video, have this exact page pulled up and say that I see that most of your traffic comes from YouTube. We could actually add a opt-in to your chatbot from your YouTube videos and split test that with your landing pages to see if we capture more people. So that's just one example of how you could use this data here. So jumping into their Instagram real quick, I just want to see how often they're posting and how much engagement they're getting. It actually looks like they are posting the exact same content on their Facebook page as they are on Instagram. And here I can see, though, that obviously they're getting more engagement. Even if it's just a few comments, at least we can see that they've got quite a few views on each video in relation to how many followers they have. And we can see this was posted 23 hours ago, 2 days ago. So they're posting exactly the same content at the same time across all the channels. Not to say that that's lazy content marketing, but at least they are putting in some effort into having consistent content at least a few times a week and putting it across all of their channels. I will say it is a little bit lazy in the sense that the same content doesn't work on Facebook as does Instagram, as does any of the other channels. So just something to keep in mind here when you're looking at content creation to see if they're personalizing it and customizing it for each of the channels as well. Something just to note that you can even mention in your video and sound a little bit more experienced as well in marketing.
Yeah, so now that we have an idea of their their social presence, what type of engagement they're doing, we've looked at some of the analytics on SimilarWeb, so we know some actual data points. Let's go into their website now and show how we would identify exactly what we are going to be able to do for them as a chatbot agency that's going to help them drive more revenue. Please let me be as clear as possible. When you're a chatbot agency, your main goal is to make this business more money. So in the chatbot value video, the number one thing that you should be focusing on is how you as a chatbot agency are going to build out campaigns or flows or whatever it might be to effectively make them more revenue. And again, we're going to show you how you do that. And just to kind of preface also, inside the chatbot value video, you should be going inside of the flow builder, inside of ManyChat, and showing them this exact information. You should have a flow built out that shows exactly what you're talking about in regards to creating more revenue. We'll get into that in just a second.
Alrighty, so finally, the most important thing, quite frankly, is their website. because even though we may not put the chatbot everywhere on their website should hold the most important things to their business, how they make their money. Right, so all of this information that we just went through, their Facebook page, the ad library, SimilarWeb, Instagram, and maybe other socials you might be looking at like YouTube or anything else that they use, this is all just some background information for you to then go into their website and see what their main offers are. So if we jump into their website, like I mentioned, this is a laser hair removal as well as med spa type of business. And they have digital products they sell as well as in-person products, like tangible products, like different things for your face, of course, and your hair removal, but also they are a appointment-based business. So they have different locations where you would have to go in at least 3 times usually as a customer in order to get the results you want with them. And typically they'll sell you a package of 3. So that's important because I just named technically 3 different business models that they use. And so as you're thinking what niche you want to target initially in your head, or the niche you're already working with that you want to serve with chatbots, then be thinking about all the things we've been covering here and how you can use some of the ideas we're going to share right now for that specific industry or business model that you are wanting to work with. So when we get onto their website, we can see first off that the biggest thing is this quiz-like form right here. And so that's actually huge because as soon as you see something like that, any sort of pop-up opt-in form, quiz, or anything where they're asking you for information about yourself to better get to know you, boom, that's an opportunity where you can walk them through actually in the chatbot value video, go through this whole process and say, so in the chatbot, we could ask these exact same questions, but actually track specifically which ones they responded to, start to segment the list, and then follow up with people if they don't finish this, right? If I just go through step 1 and then click next and then I got distracted and jumped into another tab and never came back, they have no way of ever capturing me again, other than of course running Facebook ads to me now forever, right, until I come back to their website. But most businesses oftentimes are not going to have any other way to reach out to you. And so this is a place where you could say, okay, if I wanted to go through these steps here, somewhat like a quiz, then I could say I'm most interested in, let's say I'm interested in Botox, right? And again, men, bear with us here, but I just wanted to show you an example here of a good business that has like 3 different business models that's applicable.
Yeah, you know, that's actually a funny thing to bring up here, just to kind of give you a little bit of a quick story. When we first started out, one of the industries that we wanted to prospect very heavily was the beauty industry. And I was like, well, you know, I have no personal relationship with the beauty industry at all. Like, I'm the furthest thing away from someone who knows anything about that. But what we learned is that that industry, they're using every single social media out there to generate more revenue for their business. So in the beginning, when we didn't fully understand how to identify, you know, a perfect chatbot client, that was one of the things that we looked at, was which types of businesses are really putting all of their eggs in the digital marketing basket and aren't using a chatbot just yet.
Exactly. So just coming back to this, I'd say this is probably the best example possible that I can give you. Again, opt-in form or quiz, anything where they are capturing information from you, even if it's not your name and email, something like this, right? So then I could go through this and in the chatbot value video say, okay, so right after step 1, we've saved that information to their profile. We know exactly what they did there, and we can now start to track every single thing they do, right? So then let's say, okay, my skin color, let's go through this, and then put in some information here. But inside of the chatbot, we would actually already have a lot of this information, right? Except for their phone number and email, but we'd have everything else that they asked for here, and that's something that really quickly we can grab inside of the chatbot. I'd say typically we see at least an 80% email opt-in rate if it's something that's going to be useful for the user, right? If we're just like, by the way, can we get your email? You know, that's not going to perform the best. And then same thing with phone number, right? Like, can we send you an SMS with reminders about your appointment? That's a valid reason to get a phone number. So very quickly, inside of the bot, we can capture both of these things. And so pretty much everything I just described, you'd want to talk about in the chatbot value video. And then talk about how if they're using their ads to run traffic to this particular form, that we could be capturing a lot more leads for them at a cheaper cost, and then go into maybe some of the other opportunities here on their website as well, right? Without digging too deep into each one, but just giving them a taste of like, hey, here's how a chatbot could transform this process. Because that's actually what you're going to want to do at the very beginning, is choose a low-hanging fruit, profitable converting campaign for this client to get them results quickly and effectively, and then be able to expand into other parts of their business too.
And just, you know, the video, someone actually just mentioned it, the video is covering up the bottom right-hand side of that. It's okay. You can see.
I'm going to zoom out. Maybe
you can still see most of everything, so you're not missing anything, but yeah, it is cutting it off just a little bit.
Thanks, Kevin. We appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin.
Awesome. So then as you scroll through then, now we can see that they've got a ton of different content here. They have a lot of education, which again is a sign of a perfect chatbot client, right? They care about educating their customers and user base on the specific products and services that they offer. So then maybe during the chatbot value video, I talk about how we can help book appointments in all of these different places, maybe start out with a few locations. If it performs well, then we move on to the rest, right? And then maybe we go into some of these other pages they have and talk about how on each of these pages, we could actually have a chatbot widget in the bottom right corner that pretty much does this right here, that captures them immediately as soon as they engage with it, and then can also educate them, schedule an appointment with them, pretty much ask them through everything that they're doing right now with this little form right here. And all of this content, essentially you could take and put into the bot. Obviously not copy and paste directly, but you can take all of that education and content they've already put together and just put it into a conversational format and explain that to them as well. That this isn't going to be a burden on their content team or their media team. You can actually take all the work, all the beautiful things they put on their website already, right, and just transform that into a conversational experience that can potentially convert at more than double the conversion rate they're currently experiencing. And that number just comes from our personal experience. So that is how we would walk through someone's assets, their socials, similar web, anything else that you can look at like their ad library and their website to determine if and what you can talk about inside of the chatbot value video to make the most of that 5-minute period.
And it's really important to understand here, the main goal of the chatbot value video is to get them to understand exactly how you're going to do everything that you just talked about. So a lot of people, when especially our students, when we first explain this, they're thinking like, well, we're giving so much value in this video. What if they don't respond to me? What if they just give this to their marketing team and their marketing team goes to ManyChat and starts to implement it? That's fine. That's perfectly okay, because the larger percentage of people that you reach out to are going to be so impressed that you spent the time to explain exactly how you're going to help them. You went into ManyChat and you showed them the exact tool that you're going to use to do this. You showed them the exact processes inside of the flow builder that are going to create these new converting channels of revenue for them and how you're going to go about creating them. You're going to blow their minds.
Exactly. So let us know if that made sense, and if you guys have any questions in the comments below in terms of how you would determine what you want to cover in the chatbot value video. And hopefully you can take this and actually film, hopefully your first chatbot value video today as well, and take action on what we just walked you guys through as well.
Definitely. And Keith asked, how trackable are your ROI results for a given business?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways that we will track ROI inside the bot. The 3 main ways would be, first off, an integration between ManyChat and whatever CRM or sales software they use. So a lot of our clients use Maropost or Infusionsoft or ActiveCampaign that is connected to their payment processor, right? But ultimately in that CRM, like Infusionsoft, they know who's a customer, when they bought, what campaigns they've gone through. So we actually merge all of that data with ManyChat using tools like Zapier or Integromat or a direct API integration, so that in ManyChat at any given time we should know the sales numbers there. Now that's the first place we track ROI. Now we actually have 2 other methods as well. The second one would be using Google Analytics UTM parameters, which is a useful backup option. If you're not capturing someone's, say, email or phone number or any sort of like specific contact information that could help you match a ManyChat user to an Infusionsoft user, then make sure to use that as well. Although it may not always be the most accurate method of sales ROI tracking, just because someone could buy at a later time but had originally come from the chatbot, but the Google UTM parameter wouldn't track it. And the third is, of course, the Facebook pixel, right? So because we have custom audiences available to us to adjust inside of ManyChat, that's another great way where you can track that ROI data inside of Facebook pixel. And so those 3 are inside the ads manager in your pixel and custom audience data, as well as your ads data. And so looking at those 3 should give you a big picture idea of exactly how many sales you're making and how many paid customers, and ultimately ROI is coming from your chatbot every single month. So Keith, I think that was Keith who asked that, right? Okay.
Yep.
So let us know if that all makes sense.
And Eugene asked, what is the perfect length for the video? So I try to keep it as close to 5 minutes as possible. If there's a bigger client that we know that they're going to have like 10 people watch. I mean, some of our videos get watched like 30 to 50 times by their marketing team. Like, we know that they're taking that information and trying to teach their marketing team that. And so at the end of the day, the goal is to provide as much value as you can in that video, so there's a balance. I usually do closer to 5 minutes, but if there is something that requires a little bit more explaining, I'm going inside of the flow builder, and the flow is a little bit bigger, and I'm having to explain things a little bit more, then it comes closer to 10 minutes. But you want to keep it as close to 5 minutes as possible.
Exactly. All right.
So go ahead and drop your questions below now. Man, I'm really excited about this. The last few days have been awesome. The first day one, we talked about the 4 options that you guys have. As someone who's interested in making money with chatbots, you can either do a DIY agency where you're pretty much by yourself, handling everything and pretty much capped out at 3 to 5 clients a month. In that range, you're making, let's say, $10,000 a month. We explained the build your own agency where you actually are playing the CEO role, the master of systems, building out your systems, hiring on bot builders and sales guys to help you grow. We explained the consultation phase that you could enter if you wanted to, where you're actually educating companies and playing more of a skill transfer, knowledge transfer role for them. And we talked about the freelancer role as well that you could play as just a bot builder. And then day 2, obviously we talked about building the systems and the processes that are going to help you scale. So if you have any questions about that stuff right now, go ahead and drop them below. Looks like we're getting a couple questions right now.
And so if we don't get to your question today, just by the way, if you're watching the replay, then still drop your question in the comments and we'll get to it in the comments themselves. And since Kyle just talked about kind of all the different models that we've gone into and talked about on day 1, I also want to mention that like we've done pretty much all 4 of those at this point. Right? We started out kind of doing the freelancer and the DIY agency at the same time, where we were trying to get whatever gigs we could for chatbot builds, and typically those were between $1,000 to $2,000 a month, or setup, which back then we were doing, but we don't recommend if you want to service clients with chatbot marketing on an ongoing basis. And then from there we transitioned into the agency team, right? And we decided, okay, we need to scale the agency, we need to play the role of master of systems and CEO and CMO to allow us to grow the business while still being involved. So over the last 3 years, we've spent a lot of our energy and focus, like the majority of it, where Kyle was talking about right before this live, he was like, you work like 12 to 18 hour days most of the time. Right now I've kind of lowered it down, but when we were first getting started, and really up until just a few months ago, and I'm still kind of doing it right now as well, it's pretty much my whole life, right, is the agency. And then we brought in School of Bots as a way for us to share everything that we were learning in our agency. And so that's been really rewarding and exciting for us to be able to share that passion with you guys. And it's really just grown and grown, because this agency, we had no idea what was going to happen 3 years ago when we got into this. And it's been pretty amazing to see the growth here. I know some of you guys have been in our Facebook community or following us since the very beginning. So we're really grateful to you guys and excited that you're here right now and still involved in the industry, since a lot of people have come and gone. But ultimately, over the next few months, because we've started to automate a lot of our agency now fully, and also with bigger clients as well, which means we have case studies and a lot of really exciting stuff happening that we can teach with, we're going to be focusing a lot more of our energy. It's about 90% of our energy now on School of Bots and growing the program, which we have the Chatbot Agency Accelerator, and servicing the students there so we can really help you guys grow. So this public group has been amazing for us to be able to share our content and education and what's going on with us in this boot camp, right? I'm so excited that all of you guys are here watching live, and those of you who are watching the replay to get some value out of this. But as we start to scale the program, we know that eventually we're going to have to close down this group because we just won't have enough time and energy and effort to put into both our students to help them grow, since we have a lot of really exciting stuff happening there, which I'll actually show you in a moment, and then also be able to share with you guys content that unfortunately we don't know how invested or how committed you are to running an agency. And so it's tough to kind of feel like we're actually helping you guys if we don't know if you've gone through certain training with us, if you're not talking to us on a weekly basis like we do with our students. So what we've done over the last 2 years in a very convoluted process to be 100% honest, right, because we were trying to figure out how do we share what we've learned and what we do with you guys in the most effective way possible. And so what we've actually put together is Sorry guys, we went away for a second. Oh, but you know what? I don't think... What happened? Hello.
It's connected.
Yep, there we go. Okay, we're good to go. We lost you guys for a second, guys. At least we didn't jump off and you live.
Well, it looks like we didn't lose anyone. It looks like everyone stayed with us, so hopefully...
Woo! Awesome. So thanks, guys. We appreciate that. So anyways, though, you might have not heard anything I just said. So let me go back a little bit and explain that over the last 2 years in a convoluted process, like I mentioned, we've kind of put together this whole process, this like business in a box for you guys. And so I want to walk you through kind of what this all looks like. Because a lot of you have asked, like, what are the exact steps to go from a freelancer or a DIY agency to an agency team to consulting to even potentially selling your agency, right? And you guys should have made that decision on day one. So let me know in the comments, now that it's been 3 days since that session, what you've decided you're gonna start out with. Not necessarily all the different steps you're gonna take, but just what's your next step? Because that's the most important after this boot camp, right? So you can really get the most value out of this and not just have like taken notes and forget about it, right? So at the very beginning of the journey here, we've started to put together all these different steps that we wish we had first off, and also what we've seen do really well for our students. Someone asked the other day, like, how much are your students actually making? And people are doing incredibly well. Some of our students are actually on track to hit $1 million in revenue this year with their agency, just serving clients with chatbots, which is really, really exciting. And some of them are also doing other services, right? So some of you guys may already do Facebook ads or social media management, or pretty much anything else under the digital marketing umbrella. And so that's cool too, you know, you can absolutely use chatbot services to scale those businesses. So let's kind of start at the beginning here. Kyle's idea to use a car at the beginning and then a Ferrari at the end, because that's really where you're going to be at in terms of revenue, experience, knowledge, understanding, and using this agency as a vehicle to lead the next wave of marketing and also be able to profit a lot from this and be really excited and happy about what you're working on right now.
Yeah, we really have spent the last 2 years, and we've been in the chatbot world for 3 years, but School of Bots itself, we're just at the 2-year mark right now. And so we really have spent those 2 years trying to figure out what tools, what resources can we provide to our students to accelerate their growth as fast as possible. We had to figure everything out on our own, and today actually when I was sitting down looking at this, I was like, this is the best place on the internet to learn about how to be profitable and how to be successful inside the chatbot world. I mean, the tools that we've come up with and provided, and with the help of our students especially, I mean, I'm just really, I don't want to like sound all like gushy here, but like I'm just really proud of everything that we've built for you guys. It's not like I'm proud of myself. Like the goal has always been to help you guys achieve your goals, to help you guys start a business, to become profitable. One of the people actually that she mentioned that's close to hitting $1 million in revenue, when they joined the program, they literally told us, you know, like we're struggling right now. Like we have to like really be careful with how we spend money. Like, you know, feeding our kids and everything. Like we're doing like rice and beans kind of thing. Like we're struggling to make rent every single month. Like he told me this, and I remember looking at that like, holy crap, you know, like this is like a real situation that someone's in. And now when we just saw him at Conversations Conference, he's like, yeah, Kyle, you know, I'm taking on all these clients and we're easily on pace to hit $1 million in revenue. I'm just like, that is insane.
You just pull us aside in like the most subtle ways, like, by the way,
super humble.
Here's where I'm at.
So anyways, I don't want to like, you know, pat myself on the back by any means, but when I saw this roadmap, I'm like, you know, it would be selfish of us not to explain this to more people, because we changed our lives with this information. I mean, 3 years ago when we started this business, we literally started it on the floor. We had a mattress pad. We rented out a bedroom inside this really gross house in Santa Barbara. We had a mattress pad inside the bedroom. That's all. There was no chairs, there wasn't a bed, nothing. Just a mattress pad, and we had 2 laptops, and that's how we started this business. And now we're moving into a house this weekend. You know, we bought a car. Like, again, not to brag by any means, but this has literally changed our lives, and we've seen it change our students' lives as well. So for me, the way I've been thinking about it lately is it really would be selfish of us not to explain to you guys what we've built and how it can help you.
Exactly. So without me getting emotional, starting here at the beginning, you know, that's when then pretty much what we've really focused on from the very beginning is to have you guys be inducted into this community, this chatbot co-working space, accountability, like everything that you need really to get to wherever you want to be within a few weeks or less, right? Depending on if you can go through the whole thing in a few days, awesome, then still we'll be here for you as we guide you through each step of your agency. So from going into this car right here, moving along, we've got multiple trainings that we put together for you guys. Actually, we had a message earlier today asking, hey, wasn't this cohort style before? And so it was, and we actually had less training in the program back then because it was less of do-it-yourself. But now we've really put together, I'd say, the best training that I've ever put together. And at this point, we've spoken on over 70 different stages and podcasts, sharing training and specific sessions that we hope can help people. And so that experience, combined with listening to the feedback of our students and you guys as well, hearing what you guys need, we've put together some really awesome training for you guys. There are, I think, probably like about 400 lessons, not to overwhelm you guys, but about 400 lessons of content for you about the sales side and business side of growing an agency that you'll need at each step of the way, as well as the chatbot building. And you guys, some of you have gone through the crash course, which is a great introduction and beginning to the rest of the training that we share in TCAA for you guys.
Yeah, and that's honestly kind of why we have to move towards stopping this public Facebook group. Like, we don't have the resources or the time to put the energy into this public Facebook group anymore, because we've built the systems at our agency that allow us to not be spending 12 hours, 18 hours a day on the agency side of things, so that we can focus more on School of Bots. But with that, we want to focus on what has actually made a difference. And what's actually made a difference for our students is the amount of time that we spend with them inside of the student group. As you can see here on this roadmap, we've got the chatbot co-working space. Well, one of the main reasons I'm pulling time and resources away from the public group and putting it into the student group is so that Natasha and I can spend more time jumping into the chatbot co-working space. And if you guys don't know what that is, that's pretty much like a virtual co-working space. Think of Zoom, but where there's tables everywhere, and 24 hours, 7 days a week, you can jump into that co-working space and meet with other chatbot agency owners, talk about what's working in your sales methods, talking about what's working with hiring different people, all those different things. Ask us questions. We do events in the chatbot co-working space all the time where we do role playing. So hey, come in the chatbot co-working space and let's role play your next sales call, right? I'm going to throw some objections at you and you can handle them. That's live with other chatbot agency owners. I mean, that's not happening anywhere on earth right now other than like Conversations Conference, right? Where you can actually go and like spend time with other chatbot agency owners, like in person, see their face and have a conversation with them. That's what we've done with creating the chatbot co-working space, which is literally a secondary value add to how amazingly valuable the course itself is. But that's why we're pulling resources away from the public group and putting that into the co-work or into the student group, so we can spend more time in places like the chatbot co-working space, as well as bot work. As you can see here, one of the options on your roadmap here is going to be to apply for bot work. Well, bot work is actually a tool that we've created for our students that allow them the ability to list their services. So you can become either a basic bot builder or an advanced bot builder, and you can list yourself for hire inside of the course. And so you'll also be able to list yourself there as an agency. So agencies can actually go and reach out to these bot builders that we have certified and tested inside of our program, so they know that they're working with a bot builder who can actually perform the tasks that they need, as well as bot builders being able to reach out to those agency owners and say, hey, look, it looks like you're interested in doing e-commerce bots. I'm actually really good at building bots for e-commerce stores and I want to work for you. And then now they can get hired as a freelancer inside. This is all happening inside of TCA. And so that's why, unfortunately, we have to kind of pull some of those resources, and eventually, I would imagine, before the end of the year, having to remove the public Facebook group completely.
So going along, though, just to kind of recap real quickly, the chatbot co-working space is something we added actually, 2 or 3 months ago, I think, and so far it's been an amazing, awesome experience to get to know our students better, and something that I hope that if you guys join, that you really take advantage of, because it's such a unique thing that may even grow into its own business for us as well. Accountability is going to be really important, so the next kind of pin in the road is that you will have someone that you can talk to every day or every week or however often you want to be kept accountable to hitting your goals for that week or that month, and be able to communicate with them throughout your entire journey, right, moving forward, even if you have a business partner or a co-founder, but especially if you are doing this solo, right, which I imagine a lot of you are, just based on what you guys have shared with us. And so that's going to be really important, because if you don't have someone pushing you forward and encouraging you and helping you through challenges, even just talking about things out loud. I'm sure we've all had that moment where it's like, I can't figure out the answer, and then you talk to someone about it and you're like, oh, I figured it out. And they didn't necessarily give you the answer, but just talking it out with them helped you pull the answer out from within. And so those are moments where you'll really want someone who can help keep you accountable. Now, like Kyle said, just to kind of go through this real quick, we do have 3 levels of our partner and certification system. The first one is a basic bot builder. Now, we kind of talked about this on the first day and talked about it as well with the pricing. And so how this works is that the basic bot builder, as soon as you finish the chatbot training that we share in TCAA, you will be able to get hired for your new chatbot skills, right? That doesn't necessarily you're going to be making like $10,000 a month immediately, but it's a way to start to make revenue and get experience seeing the inside of other chatbot agencies as well, which can be really helpful when you're first starting out. So that's what a basic bot builder is all about. You're able to perform projects and tasks inside of ManyChat and potentially as well as maybe do a little bit of strategy if you want to get into it, but then that really comes in with the advanced builder. So once you finish going through the course, you get a few projects as a basic bot builder. You're also building your agency at the same time if you want to, or you can wait a little bit. Then with the advanced bot builder badge, you are able to perform projects with Integromat, Zapier, which I know a lot of you guys have heard about in terms of using integrations there, ManyChat, understanding how to use analytics, the strategy. There's a lot of things that go into the bot building side, which we haven't had a chance to cover during this bootcamp a whole lot, but are really important to obviously generating results for your clients.
Absolutely.
And then finally, our agency program, which is kind of the crown of the whole roadmap, which is that at the end of that, once you do have a profitable agency, you have a few clients under your belt, maybe a case study or 2, and you're really confident in these new skills that you've acquired, let's say over the last few months. Isn't that crazy that you could transform your life just within a few months or a few weeks? This is where we will send you qualified chatbot leads that come into our business that maybe we can't service because they're not in the niche we necessarily want to service, or they're just not a great client for us and like who we want to work with, but they're perfect for you depending on your criteria, right? Like at the moment, we don't work with any restaurants. Let's say a restaurant franchise came into our pipeline and we know that you want to service restaurants because you've given us that information as an agency partner, we can send you that project. And we've done that for quite a few students now, as well as some of our other agency partners, and it's been really phenomenal. Just being able to see that our community overall and our School of Bots network can service these clients regardless of where they're at, what industry it is, what business model, etc. So this is really the roadmap of where we hope you can start to envision yourself, kind of go through step by step, that these are the exact steps you need to succeed to whatever level you want to take yourself with income, right? As well as success, as well as business building. And so hopefully this kind of gives you the, like I mentioned, Liana, one of our new team members who's live here as well, she was like, this is a business in a box. And it really is. That's our goal with this, is to give you everything that you need to be as successful as you want as quickly as possible. Now, I know we have refresh devices.
It says connected.
Okay. So I'm dropping us back on. All right, guys, we should be good now. Man, oh man.
It wouldn't be the last day of the boot camp if we didn't have some unforeseen tech issue. Let us know in the comments if we're good now. I'm really sorry about that, guys. But thank you so much for staying loyal and being here.
So
Are we
let's
back?
jump into
Are we back?
We are.
All right, cool.
Indeed. Yeah, man. Facebook Live can be so unreliable, but at the same time, like, it's such a great way to like engage here inside of the group that It's just so tough. I'm always like, we shouldn't do Facebook Live, but then it's just such a perfect way to like be able to chat with all of you guys here.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Junga, Kevin, Vicky, what's going on, guys? Thanks for confirming. All right, let's jump into some of the other questions that we got.
Yeah, she says, Maylin says, your trainings, do you have transcripts or written steps / worksheets that go along with the training? I don't have the attention span to sit through and listen to videos. I learn much better and faster with written trainings that I can read. Yeah, 100%. I'll let Natasha touch on this in a second, but from the get-go, again, because this kind of comes from my side of the business, we've always been trying to figure out how we can position this information to be as digestible and helpful for you as possible. We didn't want to just create a ton of videos that you have to sit there all bored and each video is an hour long. And so we've really tried so many different tactics over the last 2 years in getting this information to you. That's why when we started out, we were doing cohort style, where we would only take on students during a certain period of time. And so the program was 5 weeks long, and we would take groups of students into that 5-week program and be more hands-on, give them videos. And through that feedback, what we learned is exactly what you're saying. Some people want to see written information. And so we've really tried to provide as much information in the course as possible in written form, in video form, actual contracts, agreements, scripts, infographics like the one that you just saw with the TCA roadmap. We have our designer develop some infographics that help you understand everything. So we really have tried to position as the information in a way that no matter who's going through the course, you're going to be able to get that value and take action.
Exactly. All right, let's jump into, I guess he pretty much said everything I was going to say there. The only other thing maybe that I would add to that is that, like I mentioned, our focus really over the last 3 years has been our agency. School of Bots has been an amazing way for us to share everything that we document and learn at our agency. So thinking about all of that, like everything that we document, anytime we have a new process at our agency or we find that we've been doing a lot of testing with a certain, way of formatting a message, anything like that, just like a really simple example, or sales, whatever it is, we always then replicate that inside of the course and share that with you guys immediately so that you guys have, at any given time, usually within at least a few days, since sometimes I can't do it the same day, but getting everything that we do internally at our agency for you.
Someone else asked, and again, I don't know who asked this, sorry, because I just copied and pasted it, said, has any business approached you with a fee for measurable results representation? For example, you can show that you've generated $50,000 in profits for your campaigns, so they pay you $25,000, such a deal. So, of course, we've had businesses approach us with this, but at the end of the day, we've never taken on a business like that. I will say, we guarantee all of our clients that we're going to make them the money that they pay us back. So, if we charge a client $5,000 and we don't make them $5,000 of new revenue through our services in the chatbot, then we give them their $5,000 back. That's written in our contract as like our one-to-one ROI guarantee. So that way that we are incentivized to be making all of our clients obviously more money than they're paying us. And at the end of the day, I would say on average, we make our clients at least twice as much money as they're paying us when we work with them. I think across the board, there's a lot of different stats that we have with working with our different clients, but like one general stat is anytime that we go into a business to help them out, generate more revenue, we're taking what they do with email and we're doubling that. With every single one of our clients, we've been able to double the amount of revenue that they're currently making with their email funnels, but with a chatbot.
Exactly, and that's a point I just want to keep reiterating, and then we'll jump into the next question, is that you want to take something that's already working well for them at the start of your relationship, right? And that's also probably going to be what they want to do, a smart business at least. A smart business is not going to say, hey, this webinar is not converting or this lead magnet's not converting. Can we replicate this in the chatbot, see if that works? Oftentimes, it's just not going to work because the offer is not interesting for their audience. But a good business will say, hey, I want to split test this email funnel for a lead magnet and this bot funnel and see which one converts better. And when you do that, that'll be the low-hanging fruit, which will also allow you to generate them a lot of revenue in that first month and give you an opportunity to say, okay, so now let me get way creative with this. We're going to jump into segmenting your list in a really creative way. We're going to try these new campaigns. We're going to expand your chatbot's use cases to other campaigns in your business that already work well. And so that's where you start to build on that. And that's why the ongoing relationship is really important, because you just can't do that within 30 days. You can't do that within 1 month.
Yeah, absolutely. Vicky says, I hate when I'm in a mastermind and all they have are 1 to 3 hour webinars for trainings. Yeah, 100% we understand that. And that's one of the things I think that sets us apart from a lot of like course creators and masterminds and all that stuff, is that we're really hands-on, because we, again, like she mentioned, our main focus is our agency. And so we've taken everything that we've learned in the agency and we're applying that to you guys as students to help you be as actionable as possible. And so what ended up has accumulating over the last couple of years now has turned into short and succinct videos that teach you exactly what you need to know to make something happen, written forms, scripts, contracts, agreements, templates, the chatbot co-working space so you can go in there and actively talk with people. We do Q&As every single, couple weeks at least to go in there. We've got the student Facebook group so you can get in there and ask questions, and we're active in that Facebook group every single day answering any single questions that happen in that group. So we really have tried to position it in a way that this is not something that's boring for you. And if you reach out to any of the School of Bot students, I can almost guarantee you that they'll tell you everything that I'm saying is true and that they feel super happy and super confident in what we've given them. And that's why I love when we do these things. In fact, yesterday on the live, someone mentioned the program, and then a couple of our students jumped in right away and were like, these guys are amazing. They jump in the group, and that's so cool for me to see that because we're putting in this work not for the money. Like, we make so much money at our agency. Like, we don't have to do School of Bots. We're doing this because we're passionate individuals who spend every living, breathing, waking second of our lives in the chatbot world. And so we've really dedicated the last couple of years trying to help people. And so when we go to places like Conversations or maybe even yesterday in the live when we saw that comment happen, like, that stuff lights me up because we know that the passion that we're putting into this is paying off. So don't take my word for it. I think all of our students that are in the group would agree with everything that I'm saying.
So Jung had a great question. He said, for your ROI guarantee, is it profit or revenue you're measuring against? So it'll be revenue, right? Ultimately, most businesses are going to care about the revenue, and it's really up to them to think about like how they want to increase profit. And oftentimes, like let's say for a storefront business, their profit margins are going to be a lot smaller than for a digital business. So I mean, again, I don't want to jump into a bunch of other rabbit holes, but just to answer your question, it is revenue that we're guaranteeing the one-to-one ROI.
And Sergey asked, and hopefully I'm saying that, Serge, do you have sales scripts to close deals in the program? Yeah, absolutely. We give you everything, literally everything that you would need to find clients, to get clients, to close those deals, every little piece of information. Not only that, but we're actually giving you the contracts, the agreements, all the different templates that you would need to do that. We have examples of the chatbot value video. We have examples of our chatbot elevator pitch, which is like a 1-minute version of the chatbot value video. We go into the gunslinger method, which is my method that we use when we're at conferences or we want to walk into local businesses to sell them. We explain everything you need to know to succeed with sales in the course.
And I forgot to totally mention this earlier. Brian joined right now, which is awesome. And I wanted to mention that the course right now, over the next 14 days, what we wanted to do for you guys, because as we mentioned, we're kind of making this transition from using and creating a lot of content for you guys to really making it publicly available, creating a lot of content on social, as well as giving more energy and focus to our students. And so with that, over the next 14 days, we want to make the course as affordable as possible for you guys. So we've actually cut the price in half. And right now you can get it for a little bit less than $1,000 or a payment plan where we really just want to help as many people as possible who have been joining this boot camp. All of you have taken the time and commitment to go through this. Hopefully on the first day you decided what model you're going to use, so you've already checked that off the list, and then you hopefully created your system already, which then gives you an even better idea of how you're going to actually do everything in your business. And now today, hopefully you've decided kind of how you're going to move forward with your next steps to get your next consistent clients on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, most of our students who have joined have paid, $2,000 at least to join the program. And so because we've gotten nothing but amazing feedback from them, and all of them have told me that investment was well worth it, we're obviously going to be raising the price again after this campaign or launch that we're going through. But we do want to make this as affordable for you guys as possible. And the goal is, at the end of the day, like I said, and I don't want to say this as some sales tactic, but the goal is not for us to be making money selling courses here. The goal is to help as many people become successful in the chatbot world as possible. And so we know our course is the easiest way for you to do that. And so we want to make that as affordable and open that up to as many people as possible.
Yeah, 100%. Madeline said, I noticed one of your clients was Positive Parenting Solutions. I see you guys have some templates for some industries. Do you have a nonprofit template? Yeah, at the moment we actually don't have a nonprofit template, and we get a lot of requests for templates. We're always open to feedback and requests you guys have, but it's a little more difficult now for us to create just templates out of the blue because unlike a lot of the other template marketplaces and things we've kind of seen pop up over the years, we don't just pop out a template and then put it on the marketplace. The templates that are on our marketplace on messengertemplates.com are company companies that we actually built bots for, and then we took what was working really well for that company and moved that into like a template format. So that's why we don't have like every possible industry under the sun, because we're not just like hammering these out as a business, to sell templates. Like, this is really more just to give you guys access to, again, just another, formula that we've built and created over time with our agency. So Maylin, let me know if that answers your question. And I also do want to point out, I know you asked about nonprofit, so Positive Parenting Solutions is actually not a nonprofit. They are a online course creation company in content building. So just to clarify that, since, like we mentioned, at the moment, we only work with information product companies that sell either online courses, do webinars, do events, create a lot of content, nearly media companies in a sense, or like personality brands would be another word for it. Kyle's computer died, so
my computer just died.
Let's jump
we're having a bunch of technology luck over here today. We're gonna have to really refine some processes after this boot camp is done and said. But
yeah, and I do want to mention before I forget that we are going to send you that discount code in the email and bot. So look for it after we jump off this live for you guys as well if you want to join the program.
But if you guys have any questions at all right now about any of the stuff that we've talked about, which model you want to choose for your business, the systems and processes that we talked about yesterday, going through the process of getting the ammunition that you need to actually film a chatbot value video, which is what we covered today. If you have any questions about that stuff, or if you have any questions about the program or about what our students are currently doing or our situation, please feel free to ask them down below, and we'll jump into them while we have the next couple minutes.
And also something crazy I'm going to do, which I might hate myself for later today, but over the next 5 hours, I will be sitting at my computer answering texts and bot messages from you guys. So as soon as the session is over and we're able to get you guys out this replay link as well and kind of follow up with you guys to close out the boot camp here, I will be spending the next 5-ish hours or the rest of the afternoon here, since it's about 12 p.m. right now in California, to answer any questions you guys have and whether TCA is a good fit for you, as well as anything we covered in the boot camp. So for sure, look out for that message, and then you guys can either text or talk to me inside of the bot. Maylin said, awesome, thanks for the clarification. Cool. And then one last question I think I saw.
I'm back.
Oh, you are? Okay, perfect. Last question we're going to answer right now on the live, and then if you're watching the replay or you think of something in like 2 minutes after we jump off, just drop it in the comments. Anyways, Mike said, is the beauty industry a good niche for bot builders? And I wanted to cover this question because I think that the main question here, which a lot of you probably have, is what are the good industries for chatbot building?
And Kevin, I see your question as well. We'll answer that as well. We won't finish here with this.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So in regards to a niche, ultimately, which I think we probably reiterate every single day to either each other or inside of the groups, is that there's no perfect or ideal like niche for these services. Obviously, you do want to work with industries that maybe are a little bit more tech innovative or driven, but even then, you could use a chatbot for pretty much any industry. Now, the main criteria should not be so much like what's the industry or what's the business model, but more of, does this specific company that I'm going to pitch a chatbot to or want to pitch a chatbot to fit the perfect chatbot client characteristics, so that they are, marketing online already, they are focused on growing their business, and ultimately tech savvy, as well as a few other things too that are really important to keep in mind.
Yeah, one thing that I always say, because this is literally, I would say maybe like the most or the second most common question that we get asked, right? Is like, which niche is the best niche to prospect? And I think that people are, when they ask that question, like they're trying to find an easy way out. They're trying to get me to say, oh, here's the most profitable niche to build chatbots in. And that's just not true. At the end of the day, every single business type, every single industry, every single niche can use a chatbot. But most businesses aren't ready for a chatbot. So it's for your ability to be able to identify what a perfect chatbot client is, and then being able to go to whichever niche you want to work with and finding those businesses that are ready for a chatbot within that niche.
100%. So 2 actually last questions we got, and then we will cut it off there so we can let you guys get on with your day, and hopefully you found this live valuable. Kevin's question is, what is a typical turnaround timeline from initial prospect contact to them becoming a new agency client? So ultimately, how long is the sales process? And this is actually something that, since we've been talking a lot about TCA, that I actually share like 2 examples of this in TCA, so I'll kind of outline them quickly here for you, because I could probably talk about this for a while for each different scenario. But depending on the client client size, how big their team is, how quickly they move, which ultimately is going to depend on the company, not so much the industry or business model you're going after. I could say that the smallest amount of time it's been was about 1 to 2 weeks, and the longest it's been was over 3 months. And again, that just depends on how quickly their team can go through stuff. So like the first example I'll give you is someone that reached out to us. They ended up being a perfect client, so it kind of cut that process in half. And you can focus on inbound marketing once you actually have a few clients, but we wouldn't recommend it at the very beginning. This was just an opportunity that happened for us where we were able to get in touch with the prospect pretty quickly, vet them, get on a call, send them the proposal and invoice in something we call the client closing packet, which contains everything they need to sign on as a client with us, and then we close them. So within 1 to 2 weeks, that was the sales cycle. Now, for a longer client, it could be over 3 months, and typically that's going to be a bigger company that has different departments. Maybe they have to have you talk to the marketing director, and then from the marketing director, I have to get on 2 more calls with the marketing director to discuss. Then the third call, maybe they bring on their CFO to say, hey, here's what the deal is going to look like, and then from there, their finance department has to actually pay out the invoice and get us the contract and whatnot, or sign the contract and get us anything else that they need. So it can be pretty variant, but I'd say on average 1 week to 3 months. So hopefully that answers your question, Kevin.
Definitely. I had another question right here. Can you, from Council, hopefully I'm saying that right, Council Glenn, can you skip the freelancer phase and go straight to agency team? 100%. The course that we have is called the Chatbot Agency Accelerator for a reason. We only recently started emphasizing and helping our students become freelancers because we realized that this is what they wanted. This is what they needed to be able to refine their skills, to be comfortable and confident enough to be able to move towards the agency direction. But since the very beginning, for 2 years, we've been doing nothing but trying to help people build and start their agency. So if you asked me from my personal standpoint, it would be 100%. The goal is for you to have an agency where you're playing the CEO role, you're playing the master of systems role, where you're actually building an agency that can scale. Because when you're just doing a solo agency, you can't scale forever. You hit a certain ceiling. You can only do so much work, right? You can only build so many bot projects. You can only send so many chatbot value videos every single day. At the end of the day, you need to end up scaling, which means that you need to hire on bot builders, sales teams, VAs, whatever it is for your particular system. You need to be able to build that team up and scale. And the only way to do that is by playing that master of systems role, which is, absolutely the goal is to own your own agency and have a team that helps you do that.
Exactly. So definitely, over the next few days, if you need to revisit any of the content that we went through over the last 3 days, make sure to do that. We will have the recordings up for you guys here inside of the Facebook group, either in the videos tab, which is probably the easiest way to find it, or you can also go to the units tab here inside of the Facebook group. If you're on mobile, it'll be in a little bar towards the top. If you're on desktop, pretty easy to find in the left-hand column. And that's where you can access all 3 days of the bootcamp content, and that'll be available for you guys until October 24th, so that is next Thursday at 8 p.m. PST. So make sure to watch it before then.
Leslie says, so cool. Amy from PPS
I know, I saw
is
that.
old friend. That's awesome. Brian asks, do we get a School of Bots t-shirt for joining? Absolutely, 100% yes.
We're actually redesigning them because guess what? We put the messenger code on the back, which is cool. It's kind of like vintage.
These shirts are vintage, retro now. If you know, you know. These scan codes were original chatbot agencies, right? So.
Yeah, but unfortunately, as you guys know, it's actually still in my app, and some people have mentioned that, so maybe it's secretly staying there. But I know Messenger is working on some other great storefront and in-person opt-in points that will replace the messenger code. So for now, I don't know what we're going to do with the design, but we know we kind of need to update
Definitely,
it.
Though, we'll be doing a new design, and all the students get shirts. And if you ever meet us in person, which we try to go to as many conferences as possible, she'll be speaking at Social Media Marketing World. She'll also be speaking at Traffic and Conversion Summit. We go to Conversations Conference every single year, and so there we hand out socks as well. And it's really funny because t-shirts and socks have nothing to do with what we are actually doing, which is helping you start a profitable business, but it ends up being that everyone loves the t-shirts and socks when we give them to them. So if you ever see us at an event, definitely stop us, and we'll give you some shirts, and we'll give you a shirt and some socks.
Yeah, 100%. All right, guys, so with that, thank you so much for sticking with us till the end. About half of you guys who were originally here are still here. So thanks for sticking with us for an hour, which we went way over than the last 2 days. But hopefully we answered all the questions you guys had. Like I mentioned, I'm going to text and send you guys a message in the bot right now to let you know that over the next about 5 hours, I will be sitting at my computer answering your questions via text and the bot. So make sure to think about those in the meantime, and then just ask them to me. You can message me once we get to that point.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for taking the time over the last 3 days, and again, for those of you who stayed with us through these a little bit of technology problems, thank you so much. I'm sorry that we didn't foresee that coming. We didn't have processes that prevented those negative outputs from happening, but thank you so much. If you have any questions about business stuff, sales, actually running the agency itself, like Natasha obviously plays the role of like the marketer here. She does all of our bot stuff nowadays.
And if you couldn't tell, Kyle's the sales guy.
I do like all the sales stuff, the business, the CEO stuff, So if you have any questions about business or agency things, don't hesitate to reach out to me on Facebook, on Instagram, and like Natasha said, she will be sitting here answering all of your guys' questions about the program for the next few hours. So thank you guys so much for joining.
All right, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Have an amazing rest of your week, and we hope to see you inside of TCAA. Yes.
You're dead on there.
Oh, that's right. I was like, wait, what are you doing? That's right, we didn't go live on your phone today.
Oops.
All right, guys, with that, we're going to close it out, drop the mic, wrap it up, and we're going to be doing some live Q&As over the next few days for you guys as well. So, again, any questions we don't get to today, you can ask in the upcoming videos we're going to do. All right.
Have a good day, everyone.